Some old pennies look completely ordinary until the date catches a collector's eye. Hidden in forgotten jars, drawers, and family collections, certain wheat pennies can become surprisingly important. And today, we're starting with 3 dates that deserve a much closer look. Stay with me, because the first one may surprise you. First, coin number 1. Imagine finding an old penny in a family collection and almost tossing it aside because it looks like just another worn piece of copper. That's exactly why the 1944 wheat penny deserves a second look. This is a standard 1944 Philadelphia issue with no mint mark, and in very fine condition. It becomes the kind of coin collectors stop and examine carefully. To understand why 1944 matters, you have to remember what was happening in America. The country was deep in World War II, and millions of Americans were working, rationing, saving, and supporting the war effort. Pennies were still essential for everyday commerce, so the U.S. Mint continued producing them in enormous quantities. The familiar wheat reverse was still being used, making this coin part of an important chapter in American coinage. Turn it over and you'll see Abraham Lincoln facing right on the obverse. Above his portrait is, "In God We Trust," while liberty appears to the left and the date 1944 sits on the right. Since this example has no mint mark, it represents production from the Philadelphia Mint, where no mint mark was used. The reverse carries the classic wheat penny design. 2 wheat ears framing the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America with E pluribus unum across the top. It's a simple design, but that simplicity is exactly what makes these coins so recognizable to collectors. This penny was made from the traditional bronze composition used for the period, primarily copper, with a small amount of tin and zinc. It weighs about 3.11 grams, measures approximately 19 millimeters across, and is about 1.52 millimeters thick. Its edge is plain, with no lettering or reading. Now here's where your own coin searching skills matter. Collectors look closely at the date, the surfaces, Lincoln's portrait, the wheat stalks, lettering, and overall preservation. Very fine condition means the coin still retains substantial design detail, and original surfaces can make a major difference. Attractive examples become harder to find as years of circulation, cleaning, scratches, and environmental damage take their toll. And according to the collector market value provided for this example, a 1944 no mint mark wheat penny in very fine condition is valued at around $182,000. That figure should never be assumed for every 1944 penny. Condition, authenticity, eye appeal, and professional evaluation matter enormously. Auction activity and collector demand can also cause individual examples to command very different prices. So if you discover one, don't rush. Compare the date and design carefully, handle it by the edges, and avoid anything that could damage the original surface. Do not spend this coin. Never clean it. Original surfaces matter, and professional grading may be worthwhile if the coin appears genuinely significant. But this is only the beginning. The next wheat penny brings us to another date where collectors have a completely different reason to slow down and take a closer look. Next, coin number 2. What if the most important thing about an old penny isn't what it looks like at first glance, but the date and tiny letter stamped beneath Lincoln's portrait? That little detail can turn an ordinary-looking wheat penny into something collectors want to investigate. This 1955 wheat penny carries a D mint mark, and in very fine condition, it deserves a serious second look. By 1955, America was moving through a completely different era from the wartime years. post-war industry was expanding. Families were buying new products, suburbs were growing, and everyday commerce was booming. Pennies remained an essential part of that economy, so the U.S. Mint continued producing Lincoln wheat cents for circulation. On the front, Abraham Lincoln faces right, surrounded by the familiar inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1955. Just below the date area, the small D identifies production at the Denver Mint. That mint mark matters because it tells collectors where the coin was produced and helps distinguish it from Philadelphia and San Francisco issues. Flip it over, and the classic wheat design appears. 2 wheat stalks frame 1 cent and United States of America, while E Pluribus Unum stretches across the top. It's a design millions of Americans once handled without giving it a second thought. But today, collectors study these details much more carefully. The 1955 wheat cent uses the traditional bronze composition of the period, made primarily from copper with smaller amounts of tin and zinc. It weighs about 3.11 grams, measures approximately 19 millimeters in diameter, and is roughly 1.52 millimeters thick. The edge is plain, without reading or lettering. Now look beyond the date. What collectors inspect first includes the overall condition, Lincoln's portrait, the lettering, the wheat stalks, the date, mint mark, and especially the originality of the surfaces. A very fine coin can retain considerable design detail, but years of handling can leave scratches, discoloration, or other signs of circulation. That survival factor is important. Although many 1955 cents were produced, truly attractive examples with strong detail and original surfaces are much more interesting to collectors. Demand remains strong among people who enjoy completing wheat penny collections, and certain specimens have sold for impressive prices through the collector market. For the example we're discussing, the current collector market value provided is approximately $150,000. That does not mean every 1955 with D wheat penny is worth anything close to that amount. Condition, authenticity, preservation, eye appeal, and professional evaluation can dramatically affect what a particular coin may bring at auction or in a private sale. So if you find a 1955 with D wheat penny, slow down. Don't rub it, polish it, or try to make it shine. Do not spend this coin. Never clean it. Original surfaces matter, and professional grading may be worthwhile if your example appears unusually well preserved. And now we're approaching the final stop in this countdown. The last coin has another date that can make a collector pause before putting an old penny back into a jar. Keep watching, because the final example may be the one you least expect to matter. Next, coin number 3. Sometimes the final coin in a search is the one that makes you rethink every old penny you've ever ignored. Picture opening a family coin jar and finding a 1957 wheat penny with no mint mark. At first, it may look completely ordinary, but collectors know that the date, preservation, and original surfaces can make an old coin worth a much closer examination. The year 1957 was an interesting moment in American history. The country was deep into the post-war boom. Consumer life was changing, and new technology was becoming part of everyday America. Yet in pockets, cash registers and coin jars, the familiar Lincoln wheat cent was still doing its job. The U.S. Mint produced these pennies for everyday commerce, and millions passed through American hands. On the obverse, you'll find Abraham Lincoln facing right. Around him are the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1957. Look beneath the date area and you won't find a mint mark. That absence is important because it indicates Philadelphia production, where coins traditionally carried no mint letter. Now turn it over. The reverse features the classic pair of wheat ears surrounding 1 cent and United States of America with E pluribus unum above. This wheat reverse had become one of the most recognizable designs in American coin collecting, but 1957 was near the end of its long run. The Lincoln wheat design would soon give way to a completely different reverse in 1959. Like other wheat cents from this era, this coin was struck in bronze, primarily copper, with smaller amounts of tin and zinc. It weighs approximately 3.11 grams, measures about 19 millimeters across, and is roughly 1.52 millimeters thick. The edge is plain, with no reading or lettering. Here's what you should inspect if one turns up in your collection. Start with the date and mint mark area, then examine Lincoln's portrait, the lettering, the wheat stalks, and the overall surfaces. Very fine condition means noticeable circulation is present, but important design detail remains. That remaining detail matters because attractive original examples become harder to find after decades of handling. And there's another reason collectors pay attention to preservation. Cleaning may make an old penny appear brighter, but it can permanently damage the original surface and reduce its desirability. Never clean it. Original surfaces matter. For the specific example we're discussing, the current collector market value provided is approximately $160,000. That number should not be applied to every 1,957 no mint mark wheat penny. Real-world prices can vary significantly depending on condition, authenticity, eye appeal, grading, collector demand, and actual auction activity. Certain specimens have sold for impressive prices, while ordinary circulated examples may trade for far less. So before you throw an old 1,957 penny back into a jar, or worse, spend it, take a second look. Many people unknowingly spend coins that collectors would rather examine first. If your example appears especially well preserved, professional grading may be worthwhile. And that brings us to the end of our 3-coin search. We've looked at 3 different dates, different mint mark situations, and 3 opportunities to see why condition and history matter so much in wheat penny collecting. Now it's your turn. Check those old jars, drawers, family collections, and forgotten coin boxes. You never know which date might deserve a closer look. If you enjoyed the hunt, like this video, subscribe to Hidden US Coins and share it with another collector who loves searching through old American coins. Comment Rare Coins Hunter if you're still watching. I want to know who the real treasure hunters are.